Hey guys, this is Jamie and welcome to your second Java tutorial. And in today's tutorial, what I'm going to be going over is variables. Now, if you don't know what a variable is, it's very simple and it's not just Java specific, it's pretty much in every programming language. And what it is a symbol or name that stands for a value. That is the best description I could find on the web for it, because it's like one sentence and so simple. And if you don't understand what I mean by that, you will by the end of this tutorial, or you'll at least be able to see what I mean by a name or value, a name or symbol that represents a value. That'll be kind of shown in this tutorial. So if you chose to use NetBeans like I recommended in my last tutorial, then you should have a screen like this. It might not have the bits down here, but it should be very similar to this. And if you're using Eclipse, again, it'll be quite similar to this, and the concept anyway will be similar, and the code doesn't need to be changed. It's Java. So yeah, we're gonna I'll start again. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go File, New Project, and go Java Application from the list, which will present you with this screen. And basically, what we're doing is we're just creating a project, and this is going to include. Well, for me, it's going to include all my tutorial packages and classes that are going to be used throughout the series. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call my project Jamie's Tutorials. And you might have create a main class ticked. I'm not going to have it because I'm going to do that myself. Because the way I'm going to organize my classes is going to be slightly different from the way it automatically generates. But if you want, you can just go ahead and click that anyway. So once we've done that, I'm going to go Finish. And it should appear in the side here with a little drop down. So we're going to press that little drop down menu, and again on source packages. And if you've if you click the create main class, you'll also have a file somewhere in here. I think it'll be wherever you called your project name. There'll be a file replacing default package and then a class in there. But if you've done it my way, then what you want to do now is go new. Well, right click on source packages and go new Java package. I'm going to call this package tutorial 2. And as I said, this is just going to stop me from using like multiple projects all over the place. I'm actually going to store my classes for each tutorial in packages. And that way as well, it's just a case of opening up the package, and if I need code from there, taking it, rather than writing it out again. So once you've done that, you want to actually finally create your class. So we'll go new Java class. And since this tutorial is about variables, I'm going to call this class variables. And it should just automatically generate a few things in here. Basically, if you want to change the template, go ahead and do that. But this is really all we need. And it hasn't actually generated my main method. So I'm going to type it. I think for you it should do it. I think I must have unticked the box that generates this at some point. But if you haven't got it, then just copy what I'm doing now. And you should recognize this from my first one. As I said, it's pretty much the entry point. It allows the program to run, because if you don't have that, it doesn't see that there's an entry point and it can't run. And that's the gist of it. And finally, we're going to start coding. So I explained what a variable is, and with variables in Java, you have to declare what they are. You can't just make up a name like sentence or whatever and then set it equal to something. You have to say what the data that's going to be stored in this is. And what I mean by that is, if you have the value 12, I can't just go number 12 and set it equal to 12. That won't work, because it doesn't know what number 12 is. As it says, if I hover over it, it says cannot find symbol variable number 12. It's expecting something to already exist and now changing it to that, and it doesn't. It doesn't know what it is. So 12 is actually an integer. So what you do is type int, and there, as soon as you've done that, it says it's okay now. The only reason it's underlined and sort of grey is because we haven't actually done anything with it yet. We've just said it exists. And that's all this is doing. This is basically declaring a variable. You say what the type of variable is, you call it whatever you want it to be called, and then you set it to a value, or you don't set it to a value and you will later, provided you need it. So ints are basically just whole numbers, if you didn't know that. There's other ones in Java. I think there's 8 primitives in total. See if I can run through them. Let's see if I can remember. And I am doing this off the top of my head. I think they are byte, boolean, char, short, int, long, float, and double. And I've had to remember that for over a year now, but yeah, that's pretty impressive. So yeah, 8 in total. We will not be using all of them. I think throughout these tutorials we'll literally be sticking with maybe ints, doubles, boolean, and maybe one or two others, but definitely won't be using all of them. And there is another thing I should actually mention. There is another, well actually, there's plenty of other, no, is there plenty? There is kind of one other main, like really, really important variable that isn't actually a Java primitive, and that is string. And basically, a string is just a set of characters, a set of words. So what I'm going to do is call a string sentence and set it equal to the boy fell off the wall. So yeah, string is basically just a collection of characters. It's not a Java primitive like integer or boolean or whatever. It's literally a class in itself. So that'll be in one of the libraries somewhere. But basically, well, yeah, it should just be integrated in Java actually, but it'll probably be in a library somewhere. And we can prove that if I hold down Control, I can hover over these things. But if I hold down Control and press left click, it'll bring up this, and this is basically the string.java class. This is kind of, you can go look through it if you want. It'll give you all the properties of what you can do with strings. If you look down here, you can see, I don't really think there's anything useful, but maybe not. It's kind of all, it's possibly all a bit too complicated for now, so I'll leave that actually until quite a later date. But as you can see, you can't actually do that with the int. If I hold down Control and hover over int, it's a primitive. There is no class associated with it. It literally just is what it is, whereas string actually has a class associated with it, and it gets all its methods from there. So that might have been a bit too much theory for now, but as I say, it's good to know that stuff. You'll probably hate me for explaining that and not doing any programming, but it is actually good to know that kind of stuff. But now you've probably wondered why I've created these two variables. Well, it's to show you how to declare variables. That's a very useful thing. But we're going to want to do something with them. As you can see, it's saying, well, you've got these variables, they're not used. This is a kind of pointless program if you're going to have them and not use them. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're just going to do a simple print line of, well, tell you what, I'll actually do this first and see if you can spot the difference. You should be able to. Last time we had hello world. That was simple enough. All I did was outprint hello world. Now that's a string, so look what happens if I put 1 in here. It should print out fine. What I did there, if you don't know, is I pressed Shift and F6, but what you can do is just press the run button up here and it should work the same. So what it does is print out hello world and 1. If I try changing that 1 to a string, hello world, just like that, it doesn't work. It needs quotation marks around it for it to associate as a string. Integers don't need that. There. Integers don't actually need quotation marks around them. If you know what the integer is, you can literally just pop it in like that and it'll work fine. But this sentence up here, if I put in sentence like this, it'll literally output the word sentence. Yeah, there we go. See, it's output the actual word sentence. That's not what we want. That's not what we want. We want it to output the boy fell off the wall. So to do that, you take away the quotation marks, like so, and it actually recognizes it. It sees that it's not actually a string, but it also sees that there is a value, a string value attached to the sentence. Yeah. So once we save that and hit run, it should now output that line. And as you can see, there's hello world. And there's the boy fell off the wall. It's the same principle with the number 12 integer variable. All I need to do is, same again, if I put in number 12 like that, you can probably guess what happens. It'll literally output the string at number 12. In fact, maybe not. Oh, there we go. Now it should just output the string number 12, as you see there. But what we do again, just remove the, don't remove the bracket, remove the quotation marks, hit run, and there we go. So we've got hello world, then we've got the sentence, the boy fell off the wall, and then we've got the number 12, which is actually associated with number 12. So yeah, I can't really, I'm wondering, yeah, you know what, we will actually. We'll go over another Java primitive, which I mentioned before, which is Boolean. And what Boolean is, the kind of reason I'm going over this now is because it'll be a bit pointless coming back to it later. What Boolean value is, it's either on or off. It's true or false, basically, a true or false value. So it's for testing logical scenarios. So what you would do is you would have a Boolean and call it this is true, right? And we're going to set it equal to true. And we're going to have another Boolean, this is false. And from that, what we're going to do is set it to false. So now we've got two more variables. That's literally all I've done, create two variables, one this is true and one this is false. And now what we're going to do is we're going to output on another line the variable name, no quotation marks, this is false. So that should output false, and then if I just copy and paste that because I'm lazy, I'm going to go like that, and this is true. And run it. And as you can see, this is false, associated with there, and this is true, associated with that. So that's all we've really done. But as I say, Boolean methods are very important. They're for testing logical scenarios, and I thought I might as well get another type of variable out of the way, and just show that it can be handled in the same manner now. Because if I do that again for maybe an if statement in like tutorial or 2 tutorials time, you'll be like, what the heck is this Boolean thing that you're doing? I think you mentioned it briefly, but you didn't really show us. Well, that's all it is. It literally, you can't have a string in there, you can't have an integer value. Well, actually, no, you can't have a 1 or a 0 in there. I was thinking you might, for reasons I'm not going to bother explaining. But yeah, it literally is just a true or false value associated with a Boolean. Nothing else. So yeah, integers store whole numbers, strings store sentences or like multiple characters, Booleans store true or false values, and one more, I might as well go over it as well, now I've started, is double that we'll be using. Now double is a yeah, it's another Java primitive, and what we're going to do is we're going to call it this double script. We'll call it this double and send it equal to 12.4. A double basically just stores a number that isn't an integer, so it's a decimal number as opposed to a whole number. Because if I stored that as an int, it should actually throw an error, or it might say loss of precision, I'm not sure. Possible loss of precision, yeah, which is basically an error saying it won't actually work. Whereas if I try and store a double as an int, it should be okay, but it might, yeah, it's okay. Because there will be certain scenarios where you don't actually, where it's possible to store decimal values, but the number returned might not be a decimal value. So that's why it doesn't say possible loss of precision there, I think. So yeah, we're going to set that equal to 12.4, and again, you can probably work this out yourself, but we're going to do another print statement, and we're going to say this double, in fact, I had a quotation mark, so I'm a dummy, and there. So to make it easier for you guys to see, I'll delete all that and hit run, and there you go, 12.4. So that's basically it, guys. That's variables. I've shown you how to declare variables, the different types of variables that we'll be using, and how to output variables. I'll think up something in relation to this in the next tutorial, because again, this is important stuff. You'll be using this throughout, and I don't want to have to go through every tutorial saying this is a Boolean, this is a char, this is an int, blah blah blah, declare it, you know. So hopefully this tutorial was useful for you guys. Again, if you need any help with anything, if you can't get NetBeans to work, or you're having trouble with this, or yeah, just any problems, just leave a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.